and welcome to Lions of Kapama. My name is Mike Powell and I just want to thank you for joining us for episode number 9. You can see before you here there's a nice pan of water. This entire area here was completely bone dry up until 2 days ago. The first official rains have now come, making this pan very easily accessible for a lot of animals to come and have a drink. So the time of plenty is with us now. The youngsters will start to be born, antelope everywhere. But anyway, getting back to what we're here for, here's the highlights package from the past week. I hope you enjoy.
So one morning safari, I drove around a bend in the road to find most of the Maria Pride walking towards us. This is the great thing about safari. It's not really about what you see, but more the anticipation and unexpectedness of the sightings. The youngsters had their ears on high alert and were pointing them in different directions in order to pick up sounds of other animals and the rest of the pride. Just then they stopped and turned to the northwest. I could also hear a contact call coming from more than likely one of the adult lionesses. They all followed each other in that direction. They were headed in the general direction of Sunset Dam, where there was still some water for them to drink. As the youngsters approached the dam, one of the lionesses was showing serious signs of aggression towards them. Here you can see the different signs, which are the tail flicking, low deep growls, and showing of her teeth by snarling. This was the female that hadn't been with the pride for almost a month now, and I suspect that she was feeling a bit uneasy around all the pride members. She eventually does start to relax once the youngsters give her some space and move down to the waterhole to start drinking some water. The oldest of the Bosblas females, namely the mother, was found lying up about 25 meters from a young, small, dead kudu bull. It's not the first time we have found her on her own, but something was odd, because she had the kill and would normally have had at least one or two of the other lionesses with her. As I looked closer, I could see some wounds on her face. These could have come from a number of different factors. She could have come into conflict with her daughter that has 2 very young cubs, or she could also have had a fight with the big male of the north. The wounds weren't very large, but looked like deep little wounds which, from the way it was on her face, seemed like a slap from another lion, where the claws had dug in and ripped into her skin. The most dramatic highlight this week was seen when the Guernsey females and their cub were found walking along the bushy fringe of a big open plain, namely Basotho Plains. They were focused, and straight away I knew that these lionesses were in hunting mode and meant serious business. The cub tagged along, just barely keeping up, but he was still looking very healthy. As he follows these lionesses, he picks up on vital information on how to hunt and ultimately survive. one of the lionesses caught sight of a herd of impala quite far to the north along the edge of the plain. The other two lionesses immediately went down the bank so as to have more cover for stalking and possibly flush the impala towards the lone lioness or vice versa. As they moved down the bank, I stayed on top with a view of the impala herd, hoping to see some action.
Facciamo rumore. È la legge della natura.
Before I knew it, a bushbuck came darting out of the bush straight towards us. Suddenly, one of the lionesses was there and with a major thud brought the bushbuck down. The mother lioness grabs the bushbuck by the throat and suffocates it, but not completely. Watch now as the cub comes in and grabs its throat, imitating his mother perfectly. The bushbuck even gives one last kick before it dies, and the cub subdues it.
Sheesh, unbelievable.
You can see and hear the aggression this cub already has. He is a survivor and is going to be a serious force to be reckoned with in the future. The small pride then each find their own place on the dead bushbuck and feed on it until the carcass is finished. All that was left are the skull, hooves, horns, and the entrails. The one evening I received a call on the radio of a male leopard not too far from where I was. We came across this male sitting up in some long grass. I then heard the low growls of another leopard. Sure enough, out came this female, and the two of them mated right in front of us. The act of mating in these elusive cats, and cats in general, is fairly aggressive. This is all needed in order for the female to ovulate, and is called induced ovulation. Cats have evolved as far as to have a barbed penis, which will, when releasing from the female, causes her great discomfort, and that is why they usually try to hit the male straight after mating, as is displayed here. This has to be one of the rarest sightings, as the leopard is so elusive. Just as we were about to leave, they mated again. An epic sighting, and definitely one for the memory bank.
Oh my gosh, we saw that.
Unbelievable.
That's it. It's a good, just a good view now. You're standing and then sitting.
Well, those are the highlights for episode number 9. Thank you very, very much for joining us again this week. Be sure to catch us again next week for another action-packed highlights of Lions of Kapama. This is goodbye for now. Have a great week. Cheers. expect the unexpected.